special edition of the Dashawns2cents, and we're live in Simulator's Dojo. We're Joey Chaos, Dave Marquez, David Jackson, Nick Luna. How you guys doing?
Very good.
So go around the table, introduce yourselves, and tell me about yourselves. So Joey first.
Joey Chaos. I run and own Santino Brothers Wrestling School. I've ran shows at the Grand Olympic Auditorium, Great Western Forum, and as small as places as right here in an 800 square foot building. So wide variety of wrestling, booking a lot of different talent.
Marquez?
Well, I'm David Marquez, and I run Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and I'm a dinosaur in pro wrestling, and I've done a little too much, and that's me.
David Jackson?
That's my name. I'm David Jackson. I am the president of Wrestling Cares Association, a brand new promotion. I'm a brand new promoter, about 2 shows in, and happy to be in LA.
Vic Luna?
I'm Vic Luna, the owner of the Insane Wrestling League. Used to be a backyard fed a long ass time ago, but now we worked our way up and now legitimate fed in So Cal. And we run pay-per-views once every 2 months, and just love wrestling and love throwing wrestling shows.
So go around the table, tell the first wrestling match you ever seen. So go, Joey, first wrestling match you ever seen.
Well, the one that got me into it, I saw Sabu versus Al Snow at the La Puente Boys and Girls Club, and I had no clue who they were. I went to go see Dan Severn and Road Warrior Hawk. I went to go see them wrestle, and I was very disappointed in the match. It was really crappy, but that's what I went to go see. And I saw these 2 guys in the main event named Sabu and Al Snow. All I knew was Sabu was this guy that did moonsaults through tables. And man, I saw that match. They tore the place down. This guy, I didn't even know who Terry Funk was in 1994. And Terry Funk came out. I'm asking my uncle, who's this guy? And they tore the whole house down. The Boys and Girls Club got pissed, locked everybody in the building for messing up their venue. And that's the match that got me hooked. And that's why I decided I wanted to get into this wild, crazy world of professional wrestling.
Marquez?
I don't know. I want to say it was
George Hackensmith?
a little bit later.
Dinosaur.
A little bit later, almost the same time. No, I want to say it was maybe a tag match with a 6-man with the Guerreros and maybe like Roddy Piper and Don Morocco or somebody. It was from the Olympic Auditorium. It was here in Los Angeles, but I want to say it was some sort of 6-man thing. Yeah.
David Jackson?
Actually, SummerSlam '88, the Mega Powers Mega Bucks match, and it got me hooked. But I wanted to see more. And then the next match I saw, I rewound it a little bit, the timeline, and watched WrestleMania 4 and loved Savage DiBiase. And I've been hooked on tournaments ever since.
You're the only guy.
Your turn, Vic?
The first full wrestling match I saw, I think I was like 9 years old or whatever, but it was a WWE random Coliseum home videotape, and I was at my aunt's house, and so she put something on for me to watch, and it was Bam Bam Bigelow versus Tatanka. And I remember I was kind of freaked out by it, because I was like, dude, are these guys are like, I didn't know it was fake yet, so I was like, dude, these guys are really hurting each other, or predetermined, sorry, I should say, sorry, predetermined. And, as a kid, I was just freaked out, because I'm like, the fans are cheering them, and they're hitting each other, and they're like throwing each other, and I'm like, oh my god, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is craziness. And however, I just got really, all right, okay. And needless to say, I got intrigued, and the first full pay-per-view I watched was Royal Rumble '94, and pretty much ever since then, I was hooked. I started watching all the Raws, all the pay-per-views, anything I could get a hold of, WCW, everything. So that's how I got it.
I got a list of topics, and we'll go right through them. First is thoughts on the So County wrestling right now, the scene right now. So, Joe, you want to go first?
Well, thoughts on the scene. I've been here since for a while, not as long as. Well, I've probably been here longer than Dave. But I feel that it needs to be shocked back into maybe some glory days. It needs help. I think a lot of the guys I think as independent pro wrestlers, we're going to help each other out. I don't know if there's that time of feuding indies But as you know, I think it's in a whole entertainment aspect. You know, as independent wrestling, we're a team. You know, and we're against every other entertainment. And I think if we help each other out, we can help make the scene, make the territory a lot better. And I do see it going that way. I mean, I see us all sitting here, which I think 10 years ago would have been hell no. I mean, you can't even get a guy to wrestle at another show sometimes back in the day. Especially coming from XPW, because we were exclusive and shouldn't have done that, but that's what we did. And at the same time, it made us the only place to see us was at the Grand Olympic Tournament or XPW. But I think we got to help each other out. I think we got to all of us have specialties and that others don't have, and I think that helping each other out can make the scene better, and then we can all eat from the food.
Marquez?
I don't know. I think in some ways I'm a little jaded. So I hate to say that I'm not in the wrestling business, and I don't want to use that line, but I'm going to. I make a television show.
Yes.
So I look at it from a totally different perspective than I think most. My focus is more what's entertaining in that 1 hour. And hoping that we can put together the best hour we can every week, and using real traditional storytelling tactics and prolonging the idea of whatever we're hoping that the people are taking from it. I think the talent in the area is better than okay. They're all learning still, and I think one of our biggest problems in this area for years is that there's no established, what you would call a veteran. He is now, but I mean we're just getting to that point where someone has been in over 10, 12, 15 years, where in the Midwest and the South or in the East, it's all over the place. Those guys are everywhere, but here on the West Coast, we don't have anybody like that. So I think that's what has that's what has held this area back and being taken serious. And now I think the country is starting to understand what wrestling in this area is. But it's growing.
So David, your short time here, what have you noticed?
I would say I noticed that, first of all, I agree with Dave over here. I actually think that the scene here, as it stands, is actually pretty strong. I mean, we have a dozen, maybe give or take a dozen or so, soon to be veteran guys, like Dave mentioned, who work most of the shows here. All of whom have either worked for WWE or TNA or one of the big companies, or have been looked at by the big companies. So it's emerging. We also have, from what I've noticed, is a strong sense of leadership in the local schools and training camps. This place we're in right now comes to mind, of course, School of Hard Knocks, etc. And we also have a large, maybe some might say too large, group of organized promoters and companies who are constantly seeking to preserve and improve the business. One of the things I like most about promoting out here so far that I've noticed is not every company, but most companies here try to do something different. There are very few companies that try to basically copycat each other and do the same thing. There's one company that makes a quality TV show, for example, another that gives local guys a chance to get on iPay-per-view, or another that tries to put together these super shows where local guys who are regulars here get the opportunity to work with some of the best workers in the rest of the country and the world. So I think there's a lot of variety here, and I see it growing, and I see a positive outlook.
Okay. It's funny. If you would have asked me this a few years ago, I probably would have ranted and raved a lot about what's wrong. But as I look at the scene now, it's the talent is very strong. There's nothing wrong with the talent out here. There's a bunch of, you could get 82 guys and you could trust them to throw on a good match. And I don't know what it is though. It's one of the top, at least in terms of wrestling fans, talked about companies out here is PWG, and their show is mostly a bunch of fly-ins, and it's I don't know what it is, if it's just California's style that needs a change or whatever, but I think it's weird that the biggest show to wrestling fans that's a major draw where fans are willing to shell out $40. I mean, didn't you recently shell out $40 for front row
Put me on the
seats?
spot, yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? And it's like, I get it because it gives fans over here a chance to see guys from over there who they want to see. Exactly, but I think there's a plenty of guys here, and for some reason they're not attracting. I don't see a show out there bringing a bunch of guys from Southern California over there and throwing a show that's going to sell out, you know. And I'm not that saying that there's anything wrong with the scene, but I do think there was something odd about that. And maybe, like I said, I don't know if it's a working ship or not, but maybe the style has to change up. Maybe I don't know. But in terms of everything else, I don't think it's bad at all. I think there's definitely here to go. There's plenty of shows. There's a lot of alternatives, like you said. There's Dave Marquez who has a TV show. You have like a weekly show every week, and a training center and stuff. So there's a lot of variety here, and I think that's really good out here. So
ways to improve.
Well, I mean, I think I think sometimes it's a cop out to say, oh, we're in LA. We can't draw. There's too much to do in LA. But when you go to Wyoming or wherever you go, I mean, there's X amount of fans, 1,500 people in the whole city. But so in LA you have so many people here. So I think it's a cop out to say, oh, well, there's a movie or there's a soccer game or a baseball game, because there are companies that do draw. You got companies like Lucha Vavoom, who, I mean, I don't even know if they care who's the main event, Cassandro or Santos. They just want to see the product, and they'll sell out. It doesn't really matter who's on the card. So I think that a way to improve is really honestly is advertising. I mean, when we booked the Grand Olympic Auditorium, one of the main things that we had was radio and newspaper, and I mean that goes a long way. I mean, we're in here working out constantly, changing the radio station throughout the week, and whenever there's a Lucha Vavoom show coming on, whether it's a random station, we'll hear they say, hey, Lucha Vavoom's coming down, and this, that, and the other. So I think a lot of it is it's not that wrestlers aren't good enough. It's not that East Coast guys are better. I think it's just really the advertising and finding that niche, because you still got guys. You got guys like Billy Blade who will, it's a small area up there in Santa Maria, but they still draw. And you got Pro Wrestling Revolution up north, and then you still have lucha shows that will book the sports arena, and they'll draw about 2,000 people. I mean, 2,000 people at a 16,000 arena. Maybe it's a bad day, I don't know, but when we look at indie wrestling, I think the ways to improve, a lot of the wrestlers are really good. You're always going to have in every area, you're going to have your wrestlers that just learn to take a bump, and then you're going to have your guys that know how to friggin' work. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the problem. There's a lot of entertaining guys out here. I think maybe it's the especially for the indie guys. I know for me, it's finding the money to advertise on the radio or TV. I mean, I got lucky in 2005. We were working with this mortgage company that was willing to advertise big time and going to Power 106 and stuff like that. Am I wrong, Dave?
No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, we did. We outdrew WWE that weekend. We drew 5,000 people.
That's true.
To their yeah, we did, and I mean, and so we did good by advertising. And believe it or not, yeah, we brought all of Mexico. As I was telling them, please don't bring all of Mexico down, but they still did. I still think we would have drawn with just maybe the main event, which was where we had a hair versus master match, Santos. That's all you got to say. I think people would be there. I think maybe the advertising, the way we work our deals, I think is really the. I guess we got to get creative, on how we promote.
I think what's lacking in our area are business people who are business minded. It goes to exactly what he was talking about. We spend a lot of money every month, more money than what I think people realize is being spent on that program. But the broadcast is nothing but a 1-hour commercial. When it's been 4 years now, so now and Joey was a part of my office, so he knows what I'm talking about. Now we're just getting ready to start thinking of house shows. Now we're just now starting to think to be a territorial company where we're going to depend on the draw and stuff like that. Before it was television. Let's get everybody's feet wet, let them taste it, and see if they like it. Well, we've lasted 4 years now, so now it's time for not just us to step up, but the public to step up too. Okay? part of the problem, well, and I can only talk about my show. So my television show goes out to 5.3 million households in Southern California. Okay, so of that, we're getting a smidge of it. We have a very good rating, but it's just this. Now, if I can get 0.5% of those people to actually come out and buy a ticket, we probably have 1,500 people every time we're out.
Do you find it easy with a television show to draw people?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I do put it this way. I'm recognized a lot. People, I'm in the street, people will say hi, or you're the wrestling guy, which is really weird. But I'm on television, so I mean, it's I like to call it the weatherman syndrome. Everybody knows the weatherman, you know. But that's the biggest key, I think, with an area is, and I don't want to sound selfish either, but it's just that we have a broadcast, and we try our best to try to work with other people to try to make it cohesive in the indie area, so there's not confusion in the marketplace. Because with all the little companies, that's what the perception. Like, this is an excellent place. The people who run it, it's excellent. But if average Joe shows up here, they're going to look at it and say, "What's this?
Yeah.
You know, why should I care about this? You know, I have to deal with it when it comes to television stations or cable networks or whatever. They look at my show, which I think is a fair show. It's not excellent, but it's fair. You know, but when I'm dealing with advertisers and other people, they look at it and they're like, "Oh, what is this? This looks like some public access TV show." You know, and I have to deal with that every day. Or what's KDOC? You know, every single day I have to deal with that. So it's perception more than anything, and the lack of a business-minded industry. Because most people who get involved in wrestling today are enthusiasts. I mean, just for the record, and he knows this, I'm not a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. I got into wrestling to make television, way back when even. So, I mean, I always been around wrestling. I know I could probably consider myself a wrestling historian. You know, I can probably pull dates and stuff out just like anybody. But that's only reference to me. It's not from being a fan. You know, so that's my, I think, overview of the whole thing is that it's lack of business people. People just show up and they just want to make wrestling. You know, they want to be a part of it.
One good example is Quintessential Pro Wrestling. It's from a fan that has money and books a show. If you know about Quintessential Pro Wrestling, they ran 2 shows and they didn't draw very well. This fan has money and just books a show. It was 2 good shows, but just books the
Some would say that we're all fans, though.
Yeah, we're all fans. Yeah,
Sure, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we're all fans.
Absolutely. Sure. That's why you get in the first place. Most of us.
Ways to improve. So, David, your turn.
Sure, I'm up. Well, I got to say again, I agree with Mr. Marquez here.
Yeah.
Perception is a big part of it. I think production, more specifically, is a big part of it. You know, there was a saying in wrestling from back when I tried to train, and it was perception is reality. Right. So, I think as a whole, from what I've seen, we could all, you know, benefit from trying to, you know, maybe step up what we do a little bit in terms of how things look and how things appear. That's one of my own personal goals is to, you know, present a wrestling show that's a little bit more presentable, for lack of a better term. Now that said, and while I think the customer is usually right, and I know it's not considered cool to, like, you know, call out the fans for anything, I will say that I personally think, coming from the East Coast and migrating out here, that there could be a little more effort on the part of the SoCal fan to, you know, to make the effort to check out what's out there and check out the marketplace and support it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are definitely some incredible and really great dedicated fans here. I've seen them at my show, I know. But, you know, one issue that I've heard constantly, time in and time out, and not just for my show, for a lot of shows, is that, you know, it's, quote, too far to drive or something like that. And to that I say, you know, if you got the gas mileage and the time and the money for the Dodgers or the Angels or the Lakers or the latest Broadway show that came over from New York, and you're a wrestling fan, well, why not do it for pro wrestling? You know, and in fact, the truth be told, most of the time, pro wrestling is a lot cheaper than those forms of entertainment, and you get a better, longer, more involved show. You're closer to the show. So that's all I got to say.